Joe Biden, just moments ago, got his 5th COVID shot on camera. And we are now, like I said, 2 weeks out from the midterms. And if you were, I'm pretty good at making arguments, okay? And if you go back in time, you used to be able to pay me several $100s an hour, and I would argue whatever side of any issue you wanted me to argue. That is the job of a lawyer, all right? So people right now are like, oh, you're a sellout. And I'm like, first of all, I get to say exactly what I think every day, all day long. That is incredibly rare. But I used to be a sellout. Literally what you do if you are a lawyer is sell your labor to argue for whichever side is paying you. That is the job of a lawyer. I don't have that job anymore. I get to say exactly what I think on every issue under the sun, and it doesn't impact in any way the money that I make. Arguably, I have the best job in America, and I am the freest person in all of America. So if I were giving advice right now, if the Biden White House called me and they said, Clay, you've got your pulse on America. They said, you have fabulous hair. You have built a major media company that is setting records just about every day at Outkick, which we are, humbly, don't like to brag about it, may set quintuple our audience from last October, this October, just tossing it out there. Biggest radio show in the country. Everything you touch turns to gold. If they were to say that. And they said, as a result, we want you to come to the White House, and we would like for you to give us advice in these final 2 weeks. I would say everything that you're doing, do the opposite. You need to pull a George Costanza because it feels like to me you are tanking to get the number 1 overall draft pick. And it feels so insanely tone deaf, it feels intentional. Now, the problem is when you tank to get the overall number 1 draft pick, it actually can make logical sense to lose in the short term because the talent that you get for that number 1 overall pick can lead to more victories in the long run. I don't understand how the Biden administration is helped by tanking here. They're just wildly incompetent. Think about what playbook they're running right now. They brought in a man who has decided to identify as a woman, and Joe Biden said that if you believe that 14 and 15-year-old kids shouldn't get their genitals chopped off, you are immoral. That's Joe Biden's, one of his closing arguments. The Democrat Party believes that if you're 14, you should get your boobs chopped off, you should get your penis chopped off, and they think that's normal. That's their argument now. It's immoral to argue against that. Can't get a tattoo till you're 18, can't buy a beer till you're 21, can't rent a car till you're 25, but if you're 14 and you feel uncomfortable in your body, we'll chop your boobs right off. We'll take your dick and just swipe it right off. That's the Democrat perspective. I look around and I think to myself, this is not even a political issue. I don't know any parents out there, regardless of who they vote for, that would want their 14 or 15-year-old kid to get their genitals removed. This should not be allowed. We're getting dicks chopped off people, and we don't even let people get tattoos. Because we're like, hey, you know what? If you got a tattoo when you were 15 or 16, you might wake up when you're 24 and really regret that you got that tattoo. But we're letting people take their genitals off when they are still kids? I can't believe this is even going on. I find it almost impossible to believe that Joe Biden even understands any of this, which is unfortunate because he needs to be asked probably at this point explicitly. Joe Biden, President Biden, you just had a guest in the White House and said that you think it's immoral for anyone not to want a 14-year-old to get their genitals chopped off. Do you really mean that? Do you understand what you're arguing? Because I think he probably doesn't. And they're also out there arguing, as if that were not a bad enough argument. Today, Joe Biden went and got a COVID shot, his 5th COVID shot. Remember, Biden tried to say on 60 Minutes like 6 weeks ago, COVID's over. And now today, he said COVID is still an emergency. So the only argument that I think Biden could make, and this is the argument I would tell him he should be making, is I got COVID taken care of. It's a lie. You didn't. Everybody just got COVID, and as a result, it doesn't spread as much as it used to. But you can at least argue it. Instead, he's saying COVID is still an emergency. Crime is at a 21st century high. The border has never been less well defended and protected in our nation's modern history. And inflation is at a 40-year high, and everybody knows that the economy is a mess. So your response to all of this is people should get their boobs and their dicks chopped off? I mean, it's crazy. I don't even understand how, in his mind, Joe Biden or anybody in the White House could be arguing in favor of this. And then you're also saying, hey, go get the 5th COVID shot. You just had COVID twice this summer. The COVID shot doesn't do anything. If anything, the data actually reflects that many people who get the COVID shot are more likely to get COVID. And that if you are young and healthy, you have a far greater risk from the COVID shot, according to data shared by the Surgeon General of Florida and published in an article in the Wall Street Journal, than you do from the benefits of the COVID shot. So all this is crazy.